And so our next interview with Alf Cannan now, Minister, of course, of the Treasury, and we here have in front of us your manifesto. I don't know if I need to look at this while we do the interview, but I mean, I suppose, yeah, I could say that first. I mean, you remember what you wrote down here. Have you kept to it, do you think?
Well, we kept very much to the essence of what I was setting out to do. I very much campaigned last year on the fact that we needed a more cohesive plan. We needed to take more direct action to resolve a number of the issues, and I believe that the track record so far is that we are willing to take action as a government to directly address some of the key issues that are affecting society at the moment. That we have looked at some of these issues around the cost of living. We're tackling issues there around the utility bills. We're looking at the growth, economic growth. We're getting more people back into work. So getting this plan together was absolutely critical, and I believe in getting the programme for government together. And it is just a guiding document. Was a major step forward. Yeah. It showed a very progressive change and an attitude change compared to what I had experienced before in the last administration. And so, yes, in terms of many of the key points that I was raising in my manifesto, I think that we are moving towards achieving those. I
was thinking more that when you write these things, you're just standing, then you become the minister, and a very powerful minister. I mean, you went for the chief job, obviously. We'll come to that in a minute. But doesn't that change your outlook? Because instead of being a backbencher, you are the man making the decisions, and that must affect what you come up with in the first place to some degree, because you've got to look at things differently. You're not the one asking for the money, you're the one handing the money out.
Yeah, I mean, it still doesn't materially impact on my views, but there is obviously a sea change. Opposition is one thing. The realities of government are completely another thing.
Was that tricky?
Well, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed my time so far. It was obviously a tremendous privilege to hold the position that I've got. There's a great team around me. There's a very good political team around me, very challenging. We are working as hard as possible to make sure that the public are being delivered as much money as possible.
But what about you? Forget your people. How you
and it's a great job, and it's a privileged job in terms of having that responsibility to make sure the public finances are kept sustainable, that we're doing as much as possible to govern people's costs, that we're growing the economy. So it's a privilege, and I'd like to think that whilst there was a very steep learning curve in the first few months, that's always learning. But
can you sleep at night though? I mean, do you not worry about the economy and how we're doing? I mean, you know the numbers, you see that sort of thing. That's my point. How do you sit with this job?
Well, there's a lot of responsibility with the job. There's a lot of pressures, but the key thing is you don't want to take those pressures absolutely everywhere with you. You do need to try and get home to the family, and obviously I'm lucky enough to have a great family at home. Three getting older children, but you soon get brought down to reality when you get home and face what's going on there.
You have I call it the number 2 position, because really Treasury does seem to be that thing. The Chief Minister, where you sort of in charge, is that still the case? Would that be, you're non-deputy Chief Minister, would it be?
Well, it's up to the
that name?
It's up to the Chief Minister to decide who his deputy is. I mean, that's only done when he's away. There is no formal hierarchical positions, but clearly you don't need to be a genius to work out that probably the most important role outside the Chief Minister is the Treasury Minister.
You went for the top job. I mean, didn't get it, but is this how it works? To give you that nice job there, and you'll work with me, and I mean, how's the relationship been?
Look, excellent. I mean, Howard Quayle and I share a number of the same views. Howard's got, as Chief Minister, has got a lot on his plate from an international perspective, more than probably any Chief Minister in the past, as we move towards some sort of climax with the Brexit negotiations. And very much in terms of the day-to-day finances of the country, obviously they fall into my remit. So, but our relationship is a good relationship. It's a solid relationship. The Council of Ministers is working well together, and we are trying to be collegiate in terms of working together to achieve the right outcomes, and that's really, really important.
But you still want the top job at some point, right?
I'm very happy with what I'm doing at the moment, Paul. It's a tremendous privilege. So
that's what I asked you. I said, do you want the top job at some point?
Look, what's happened in the past has happened. I'm currently the Treasury Minister. It's really important for me just to focus on delivering this job.
But I'm talking about people. I've asked everyone. You are a career politician. Would you not agree with me on that one? You see yourself doing this job, subject to the vote coming in. You'd like to carry on and make this your job for, as like your father did, really, long term.
I think you go into politics to, I hope, to try and deliver proper, real outcomes, real change. Get on top of the big issues of the day, and you stay in politics. For as long as the people will want you to stay in politics, and secondly, from your own motivation perspective, as long as you have the energy and desire to tackle.
Have you got the energy and desire?
Well, very much so.
Good.
I mean, I think that you'll see that from the last 12 months, and I'm hoping that we'll clearly see that in the next 12 months as we come up to deliver a very important budget next February, and also tackle a number of other issues that are affecting society at the moment.
How do you think you've done in the year then? I mean, I've asked everyone this sort of question about giving yourself a score. What would you score yourself?
Well, I think it's far too early to talk about scores. Well, what we've really got to keep focusing on, what I want to keep doing, is really just trying to do the very best I can and start and try and deliver some real outcomes, some positive outcomes, and set the island on a from a financial perspective, on a very sustainable course for the next 5 and 10 years, 5, 10 years and 15 years, well into the future. And of course, deal with some of these long-standing issues that almost sort of boils that need lancing. And so that's really what I'm focusing on at the moment.
Okay. The government, how would you vote? The government, I mean, that's 1 out of 10 I'd like. Oh, in fact, you're not going to give me a number, by the way. You're not, on you. You're declining, by the way, or you can give me a number.
I don't. I mean, this number business is not something that means anything to anybody. Well, I'm not in a position to start giving those.
What about the government? Out of 10, how do you think you've done as a whole?
Well, look,
everyone's giving a
year ago we came into power, or through the general election. We put together a council of ministers. We've delivered a programme. We've brought together a piece of paper that says Programme for Government. It's got some key objectives on it. It is driving government forward. There are numbers of issues that we've got to address, but I think we are making progress. I think that you'll see from the last budget, from a very early budget, that we set out to start to tackle these issues and make some progress for society.
So how do you rate it?
Well, you can't just rate government like that. What you've got to look is the actual facts. I mean, unemployment down below 1%. We've got stronger economic growth going on now than we've had for a huge number of years.
I'm sure.
Income tax receipts are up.
Yeah. But at the end of the day,
we've launched reviews into the Manx Utilities Authorities pricing, and we'll be coming back with that very shortly. We slowed down the sewerage pricing last year. We've done a huge number of things, but we're not in a position.
Alf Cannan today. Forget your minister hat on. I'm asking about you, and how do you think, part of this team in government, how do you think the government's doing? It's not. I mean, you must have an answer on that one for me.
Well, I can't, because governments never stand still. For every day there is a new challenge that government will have to deal with somewhere along the lines. Yesterday it's gas, today it's teachers' pay, tomorrow.
But just look back at the last 12 months and say, yes, Brexit. I score it something. I give the Isle of Man government something out of 10. What would you?
Well, I think we've got a huge way to go before anybody starts reflecting on scoring a government. No, I've told you, Paul. I think the government's making progress.
You're not going to give me a number.
That's what I think. Well, we have got a huge number of areas to tackle, and that's what we've got to do.
No number. What about dealing with your government job, being the minister and still being a constituency MHK? How have you found that?
Well, there's been a couple of factors actually in the last year that have changed. First of all, the constituencies grown significantly. We now have 2 MHKs representing a huge chunk of the island. I think the biggest area by landmass certainly, but some 6 villages, which are all with various sizes of population, which all need looking after. So that, and when you're in rural constituencies, your time is very thinly spread, because you can often be trying to support separate events taking place in different areas. So that's proving much more difficult. I guess in a couple of years' time we'll be able to see whether this two-person representation for these constituencies are working, because there has so far, I think Tim Baker and I, do try and communicate as much as possible, because you do get sucked into to both dealing with the same issues when really one person will do. And of course, as Treasury Minister, you do get a huge demand on your time, and it's not easy. It can be very tiring, but you've still a constituency, MHK. Really, at the end of the day, there are a lot of constituents need looking after, and you do your best to support them.
Just trying to break down what you said there. So you're not sure about having two MHKs for the same area. And you're finding it difficult because you are being the minister. So are you saying that Mr. Baker's taking more of the constituency work on for your area?
No. I'm saying that we need to look very carefully at one of the issues that's cropped up is that, and Tim Baker and I do communicate as much as possible, but you do end up sort of dealing sometimes with the same issues. And constituents will contact both of us at the same time about one problem, and perhaps unbeknown to us, and we'll end up both perhaps taking valuable time when we could be spending it in other areas dealing with the one issue. So we do need to iron out one or two problems with that. And of course, with 6 villages, your time gets very, very thinly spread. The last time I had 3 villages, Michael, Balarf and Jerby as the key focal points. We've got Bride, Andreas on top of that, and Solby, of course. So it does make it
Would you like to go back
difficult.
to one then, do you think? One MHK for one area in your particular parts of the world. Do you think that?
I think in the next couple of years we will need to have a think about whether that's right. I mean, the system's set as it is at the moment. We will absolutely working with that system, but it is something that we'll probably need looking at in due course.